everyone. For our read aloud today, we're going to listen to a story called Louise and Tabitha.
Louise and Tabitha. Louise was a cat about town. Dashing, charming, perfectly suave. He lived, unofficially, at the fire station and had, since a daring rescue involving a very small Louise, a very shrill smoke alarm, and a very tall house. His tail still had the scorch marks. Louise liked to go visiting, as society cats do. Sometimes he'd travel in the fire truck. Everywhere he went, Louise was welcomed with open arms and leftovers. One night, after too much catnip and too many sardines, Louise was making his rounds when he took a wrong turn. He climbed a wall and saw Tabitha. Elegant, silky, perfectly sophisticated. Louise stopped. Tabitha stared. It was love. Love from afar. Love under the spotlight of the moon. Love thwarted by a thick glass door. And by Tabitha's owner. "Shoo!" she cried. "Shoo!" Louise shooed, but he wasn't done. The next morning, Tabitha stared out at a vast bouquet of sardine tins and twine and feathers. Louise smiled. Tabitha smiled. Tabitha's owner did not smile. "Shoo!" she cried. "Shoo!" Louise shooed, but he wasn't done. The next day, he brought mice. The day after that, he brought pigeons. And after that, balloons, which is not easy when you're a cat. Each day, Louise and Tabitha stared into each other's eyes until Tabitha's owner chased Louise away. Louise needed advice. He asked his friends over a bowl of cream. "You're an outside cat," said Mr. Pickles. "And you need to be an inside cat," said Socks. "Or at least look like one," said One-Eyed Winky. Louise had an idea. The next day, Louise showed up at Tabitha's door once more. Louise smiled. Tabitha smiled. Tabitha's owner clutched her hands to her heart and opened the door. Louise was inside, where everything was soft and warm and scratchable. And Louise and Tabitha were inseparable. Until the doorbell rang. "Is this him?" "That's him." And Louise and Tabitha were thwarted by the thick glass door once more. Louise had a new home and a new name and a new owner. And all the sardines and cheese he could eat. But all he wanted was Tabitha. and all Tabitha wanted was Louise. It was love, love from afar, love from far too afar. Then the doorbell rang. "Is this him?" "That's him!" "And that's not him." And Louise was a cat about town once more. Louise needed advice. He asked his friends over a bowl of cream. "You're an outside cat," said Mr. Pickles. "And she's an inside cat," said Socks. "And that's just the way it is," said One-Eyed Winky. So Louise went visiting, as society cats do. He went visiting all across town. Everywhere he went, he was welcomed with open arms and leftovers. And everywhere he went, Tabitha wasn't. Until one night, Louise was riding in the fire truck when his tail began to tingle. Louise saw Tabitha, elegant, silky, perfectly sophisticated, and in terrible danger. The sirens began to wail. "Everyone, outside!" cried the firefighters. The crowd was a cloud of arms and shrieks as it gathered on the corner. But there was no Tabitha. And suddenly, there was no Louise. The crowd waited and worried and fretted. Finally, the gray parted, and from it emerged Louise and Tabitha, leading Tabitha's owner. The crowd cheered. Tabitha's owner plopped down on the curb and clutched her hands to her heart. She looked at Louise and Tabitha and smiled. The cat show judge placed a blue ribbon on Tabitha, and the firefighters placed a gold medal on Louise, and declared them both perfectly heroic. Louise was back inside, where everything was soft and warm and scratchable. And Louise and Tabitha were inseparable.
All right, friends, I hope you liked the book. Now it's your turn to read for 30 minutes. So you can get onto power tools if you want, or read books around your house. You can even read to a stuffed animal or a pet that you have.